Bodhi Aldridge, welcome. Thank you so much for having this conversation with me. You are one of the presenters for my upcoming Yin Center Inaugural Conference happening April 1st through 3rd. I'm so happy to have you. And the session that you'll be giving is called Integrating the Yin and Yang Within Ourselves. So my first question is, what does integration mean? And specifically the yin and the yang.
Fantastic. Thank you, Dave, and thank you for the invitation. Yeah, I was very excited, and yeah, when I felt into the theme of the conference, to me there was a real opportunity because I reside predominantly in my masculine, was to talk a little bit about the masculine and feminine, and I'll interchange those words with the yin and the yang, so the same meaning for this conversation. And for me, it was really the integration piece is fundamentally, most of us live in a world where it feels like there's a split. There's a split between the physical and the spiritual. There's a split between our body and our mind. There's a split between the being and the doing. The world is very it's black or white. It's up or down, that relative experience. And the journey that I've been on for myself is to heal that split, that illusion. And, you know, that plays out very much in the yin and the yang. Yeah, excuse my Australian accent with the yang.
I don't want to excuse that accent. It's awesome.
And so for me, it's not an or. Yeah, it's how do I integrate? So the integration piece in all those areas, is healing, that illusion of the split.
And that's different from neutrality. That's different from neither.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll talk about that in the session, because our neutral state, which we can come back to, is very different to our natural state. The neutral state doesn't have the same charge, that our natural state has. And so when we come back to our natural state, which fundamentally is that energized flow, integrate, and we can bring that in, remember the yin and the yang, then it's a very different experience.
So I want to come back to this idea of the natural state. You have told me that what you're talking about has to do with the heroes and the heroines journey. Can you say more about that?
Yeah. In all mythology and all archetypal, if we look at the collective consciousness that's affecting us, again, there's the hero's journey and the heroine's journey. And speaking for, my experience of the hero's journey, it's the search for the Holy Grail, which is integration. And that's returning, to our natural state, connecting with our essence. And for me, it's predominantly more in my masculine, but it integrates all of the feminine, all of the yin and the yang as well.
So, and the hero and the heroine's journey are two very different kinds of journeys. Is that right? They're not interchangeable. They have a different path.
In my understanding of mythology, and there's plenty of literature around the heroine's journey, I'm sure. Inanna was one of the goddesses, and the mythology around Inanna and the dive within for the feminine. The hero's journey for young men, and we see it now, and we see the distortion of it in our world. It's an outward journey initially. We go looking for the grail, and we have to slay the dragons and the demons. But on the journey, at some point, for those that are committed to the journey, we realize that the grail is within us. The beautiful analogy is, as young men, we go searching for the grail, and then we realize it was on the bedside table all along. There it is. But you have to go for the search to experience it. Not denying the search. The search is an essential part of the hero's journey.
And is rescuing the damsel in distress, rescuing the yin aspect of the male psyche?
Yeah, well, it's a great point, So there are 5 key initiations for the masculine into our yin, into our feminine. Yeah, and one of them is the damsel, is Fleur Blanche in mythology, represents a certain aspect of the feminine. And again, I'd love to another time, the next conference, I'd love to talk
I want to hear
about,
more.
Yeah, because a lot of us men haven't done these initiations. Yeah, and so what occurs is absolutely that if you want to integrate your masculine and feminine, it's about doing the initiations into those aspects of the feminine.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So it is, and it's an important part of the hero's journey. Absolutely.
And that's just as an aside, that's the work that you do with men. Is that right? Do you guide them through those steps?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a lot of great work happening in the world around the masculine and around men. And it's also, with the rising of the feminine, which we all know is happening, it's the feminine in us. Yeah, and that's the initiation. That's where the true warrior integrates their masculine and feminine.
Beautiful.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the calling. That's the journey we're all on at the moment.
So, coming back to our natural state, because what I'm hearing you say, the true warrior for the masculine, is that the natural state for the masculine?
Well, it's interesting. So if we come back to that natural state, that place of flow, and as you know, I wrote a book, or co-authored a book recently, and I'll do my quick promo while I can.
Yes, please do.
And it was about visionary male leaders integrating the masculine and feminine. And in my chapter, I talked very much about the feminine qualities, that the masculine as a leader. And again, we'll talk more about the masculine, feminine, gender in the presentation. So hopefully people don't get confused or misinterpret. I'll give some deeper distinctions. Yet, essentially, one of the key aspects and of the feminine is this place of flow. The feminine energy in the universe, the feminine energy in Mother Earth, in all of us, is that which flows. And that's very much our natural state. But the river can't flow without the riverbanks.
Right.
And that's the masculine.
Yeah.
In you and in me. If we can't contain our flow, if we don't have the scaffolding, the true warrior held the space, while the feminine did the ceremony. It wasn't about killing people. It was about the ability to be the riverbank.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And some riverbanks and times in our life, we need the riverbank to be steep. We need that flow to be strong. And other times we can allow it to be wider.
Yes.
But unless we access the polarity in ourselves of the yin and the yang, and know how to access that and integrate that, we can often be too much in either. Yeah, and that then, so our yin can be very creative. Can be incredible. It's an incredibly juicy place to be. But all of us need some yang to bring it into the world.
Right.
We need to build our riverbanks. And of course, the opposite for those who are more in their yang, in the healthy yang, as opposed to the unhealthy yang. Too much yang, too much direction, too much structure doesn't allow that flow, doesn't allow that creativity, doesn't allow that, beautiful openness.
And so, what's so interesting to me thinking about these dynamics is, so you identify as masculine, that's your natural state, is the masculine energy, but then you have integrated and are continuing to learn and practice the integration of yin and yang. And then I'm expressing as the feminine, I feel like that is my native state. And then there's my internal yin and yang. And I guess this is the understanding of the polarities, that we don't go into just a neutral, so it's like we're expressing a polarity, but within that polarity is integration.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you can't access and contain the polarity in yourself, whether you're more in your masculine or feminine essence, then it's very difficult to create that state of flow. And it starts with self. And then in relationship, obviously the polarity is such a huge part of creating juicy relationships, opposites attract, all of that. But that field of relationship comes from your field of being able to access the polarity in yourself and integrate the polarity. And be able to hold yourself in all of that.
Yeah, there is, this is a Jungian understanding, and I'm sure it comes from all the wisdom traditions, but I've been hearing it more where people are talking about it's really time for us, the real way to heal the masculine and feminine wound that's in our outer world is we have to heal those parts in ourselves. And so the implications, as you're saying, for how this can impact our relationships, obviously intimate relationships, work relationships in the world, family dynamics, things like this. It's very powerful.
Yeah. And again, if we come back to the hero and heroine's journey, just as a map, just as a concept.
Yes.
And for us and for most of your audience, that's what we've been on. We're on our journey. And remember, it's about remembering that we are whole.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
That's all.
That's all. That's all. And like that, one moment we could all remember.
Yes. Well, and I love that we're using the word polarity to describe specifically yin and yang, energies that attract and are opposite. But of course, there's also the negative of polarity, which is that, like you said, creating artificial splits where they don't exist, and the incredible conflict that creates not only outer, but it's an inner conflict that we're carrying around with us when we go to that place. So what outcomes will participants experience from your session?
I'm mindful of supporting the participants, and to me, if you can start to experience the polarity in yourself, and again, we'll talk more about residing more in your masculine essence or your feminine essence, and then being able to access this beautiful range of the yin and the yang. I'm hoping that participants will be able to experience some of this for themselves and start to notice those aspects of themselves. And then being able to contain it, be able to build the riverbanks, from the flow. Beautiful. Because for all of us, whatever our intention, whatever our desires, whatever our purpose, that we want to manifest in our life, that we want to serve the world, that we want to create relationships. What I know is that if you can integrate this in yourself and access all of yourself from that place of wholeness and stay in that place of flow, then whatever outcome you're looking for, you can experience. So that's my hope, is people can at least taste that.
Beautiful. So you'll actually be leading an experience for participants. It's not just a lecture. As you know, we learn from experience, and so I thought I'd just do a couple of processes, make it interactive, give people an experience of some of this, so that they can, my intention is to support people to get present, and as you know, presence is a big part of my work. Yes.
And being present with it all, and the activation points of presence. and again, we'll touch on some of those. And then also have an experience of your own yin and your yang and get a sense of the possibility of that integration. That's the possibility through some of the processes, through some of the concepts.
Beautiful. And you and I share that we both have a really strong energy, embodied energetic practice, which is, to me, the true way to learn and understand these energies is that embodied experience with energy.
Yeah. What excites me in the leadership space is that more and more of this is the conversation now. So as you know, embodied presence is essential for any leader. And, the concept of presence is one thing. Mindfulness just opens a door. It's a very important door, but embodied presence gives us the full experience.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that seems like the yin to me.
Well, again, it's interesting, and I'm not sure how much time we've got left, but if you come back to the fundamental distinctions again, which I'll touch on in the presentation, is so if we think about the yin and the yang, and we think of the yin as everything that flows, and if you think about the yin in yourself and your feminine essence, one of the key experiences the feminine essence is looking for is to be presenced. So when I work with men in their masculine or with couples, a big part of it is in a traditional relationship, if the woman is more in her feminine and the man is more in his masculine, is to teach men how to presence the goddess so she can reveal all of herself.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, because that's the desire of the feminine essence, is to be seen, to be present, so I can reveal all of me to the world. Yeah.
Bodhi, there's like 4 other presentation topics I want you to give from this conversation. But we have this one, which is integrating the yin and yang within ourselves, which seems like the foundation point for everything that you're offering, for everything you offer in the world, potentially. Thank you so much. And this presentation will be just to reiterate, will be part of the Yin Center Inaugural Conference, April 1st through 3rd this spring. So I hope you join us. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, thank you.